I still would go back into my community and feed 200 families. I would give away school supplies and book bags going back to school, and I would also provide coats for Christmas. I was never raised to be selfish. So any little bit I had, I was willing to give. But as I got older, I was able to create things in abundance. I ain't never been a stranger to work. Never. I don't care what it was. I always kept a job because I understood the mechanics of how to live. I never lived beyond my means. Whenever I was in the street, I did whatever I was doing and I was successful, but I was a teacher. Because I was so successful on the other side, it kind of took my life to a different level, and I was able to afford and have some things that was outside of the norm of a school teacher. But with anything, those things come with a consequence. And when it happens, they take everything from you. Had known some of the things that I know now, whenever I was their age, I'd have been a millionaire.
We are back with another episode of Kicking It with Jess and KP, and we have a special guest here, co-founder, partner, and program director of Above It All's R.I.S.E Program, Geno.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Welcome.
Welcome to the pod.
I appreciate the invite.
Thanks for coming to kick it with us.
Y'all crazy.
So tell us about the R.I.S.E Program. What is it? Just tell us all the things.
Above It All's R.I.S.E Program is a substance use program for adolescents and adults. Our primary focus is adolescents. Okay. This program is to educationally enrich them on the things necessary for them to reach independence successfully.
Love that.
Nice.
How did you get...
That's what I was
What was the motivation
to start
behind
the
it?
program?
Yeah.
Well, initially I had been working with adolescents all my life. That's how I got through college. I worked for a few organizations. I was a therapeutic behavior aide through college, and I ended up working with various groups of kids, mainly those with behavior disabilities. And I kind of had a natural niche for just being able to communicate with these kids, not just from educational experiences, but because I was once them at one time, and somebody took the time to do some things for me and push me in a direction for me to end up where I am now. So naturally, I can communicate with these kids, and I had been through a few things, and I had a conversation with one of my frat brothers, and he was like, you are the one, you really had the juice for this. I'm going to give you this game plan, and you work it the way you see fit. You put your twist on it, and he gave me the blueprint, and I took off running with it, and we ended up with Above It All's R.I.S.E Program, and now we're close to maybe like 100 participants.
Wow.
I think we got somewhere around like 86, 87 participants.
Wow.
Well, adolescents anyway. We may have maybe more, maybe 19, 20 adults. So we're close to that 100 mark.
Wow. That's awesome.
So what inspires you to focus primarily on the youth, the adolescents?
I feel like the youth are like clay. You can mold them a little bit. Adults kind of have they're set in their ways. They have their minds made up, and the information can be relevant to them, but it has to be when they're ready. A kid, you can kind of grab them early, and you can lead them. You can stop them in their tracks and refocus their attention on something and push them back down the path with a different mindset. So I just felt like it would be beneficial to work with our youth. As you can see nowadays, like 85% of the crime is involving the youth. The reason being is that there's no one really taking them by the hand and giving them the guidance. Even whenever I was coming up, the structure was different. Even on the corners, there were older guys. They didn't allow certain things. Even whenever we bent the corner to go to the store, we had to go to the store and go back around the corner. Nowadays, it's just like a free-for-all. It's no more loyalty. It's no more morals. The things that were introduced to me as a young man are not present in the men that are kind of dictating the trade or controlling the future. And they're using these kids as pawns now instead of giving them the ropes. So I just figured what I could do was do my due diligence and give a little bit of what somebody gave me.
Okay.
Love it. How important, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
How important was it for you to, because you're primarily servicing the youth of Baltimore City, right?
Yes.
Okay. How important was it for you to stay in Baltimore City as opposed to like coming into Baltimore County or Howard County or...
Well, everybody's objective at some point is to expand.
Absolutely.
However,
yes.
you kind of want to start with where you're from.
Okay.
That's the first order of business for me, is to give back to where I'm from. And even just throughout life, like before we started Above It All's R.I.S.E Program, I still will go back into my community and feed 200 families for Thanksgiving. I would give away school supplies and book bags going back to school, and I would also provide coats for Christmas. So I always I've been raised that way, to just give back. You know, my grandmother raised me and my brother and my cousins, and I was never raised to be selfish. So any little bit I had, I was willing to give. But as I got older, I was able to create things in abundance. So giving back was just my way of saying that I appreciated the things that I had learned up to this point and what I had been through, and maybe it could help somebody else.
What did you see in your community or in your personal journey that made you say this was needed, like this type of program was necessary?
As I said before, I was once one of these kids. All of the characteristics that I see in the behavior, I was once that person. And if I didn't have the people pushing me in the direction that I was moving in, I would have never went to college. I would have never really explored my potential to become the person that I am. And I'm not going to say that everything was always peaches and cream, because it wasn't, you know. And when I say I was once one of these children, I had experienced some things. I had a father that indulged in drinking a lot of alcohol, and my mother abused narcotics really, like, severely. So I've been in a household where everything that was stolen wasn't nailed down. And I witnessed things go on between my parents that were as a result of the things that they were kind of indulging in. And now that I had a chance to give it back, I kind of felt like this was my craft. Why not get paid for something that you like to do? Often people wake up with jobs every day. They have attitudes. They don't like what they do because they have these attitudes at their jobs because they don't like what they do. There's not a lot of people that find their definiteness and purpose and then get paid for the things that they naturally are good at or what they do best. And I feel like just my level of communication with people alone is what I do best. I like to run my mouth, and I'm good at it. And I have the ability to give people advice that could benefit them. It could either take them to the next level in life, or it could save them from a situation that they could have been planning that was kind of going to go in the opposite direction. Actually, I'm looking for a program to sign myself up for, so I can go back to school in the fall, so I can become a licensed professional counselor. So that's another goal of mine.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
What's some of the biggest challenges that you faced, if any, in running this type of program?
You have to be able to deal with people with all kinds of personalities. Everybody's not going to necessarily agree with the way that someone chooses to do things. So you have to learn how to take suggestions and how to deal with different personalities, different attitudes, so that you can reach the common goal. So one of my biggest challenges was kind of like being able to accept how people deliver things, what they had to deliver, and accepting how beneficial it could be to my program, and look past the negative that I felt.
Okay.
Because sometimes your personal feelings can cloud your judgment, and you can miss the message. So then I just started to listen more and not kind of
just react.
Respond to how I felt about something.
So I feel like, based off of, your story of, your childhood and what you experienced, you are filling the cup of the kids that you service now, right? So how do you, when your cup feels depleted after you are filling theirs, how do you fill yours? Like,
I'm probably one of the people that can give the best advice and make suggestions to people, but don't follow the advice that I'm giving people. And honestly, I don't have an answer to that question, because I don't think that I do a good job at filling my own cup or having my cup full. And I think that because I've experienced so many things and I've been through so much, I think I mask my pain with staying busy.
Okay.
So that's
Busyness.
what I do. I just stay busy. And I think I stay busy. I'm not going to say I think. I know I stay busy to avoid having to kind of deal with the emotions and the feelings that come along with some of the things that I've experienced in life. So I don't think that I probably should be talking to a therapist 2-3 times a month myself. As much as I encourage other people to talk to somebody.
Yes.
I'm the one that's doing all the talking but not being talked to.
Okay.
In case you didn't know, Kicking It with Jess and KP is produced right here at the Beauty Hub podcast studio.
If you want to get started with your very own podcast, we have the space and equipment to make it happen.
Yeah.
So look for more information in the show notes on how you can start your podcast at the Beauty Hub today.
Back to the show.
Okay.
So
Do you feel like, sometimes Black men and therapy is just hard, for them to, make that connection or, just even find one that they trust. Do you feel like it's hard for you as a Black man to seek out mental health or therapy, or just Black men, period? Do you think that it's a struggle when it comes to mental health?
For some reason, I'm not sure why, but people tend to deem mental health, they have a negative vibe with it. As soon as you mention therapy, somebody says, oh, there's nothing wrong with me.
Yes.
When you suggest a therapist to someone, it doesn't mean that something's wrong.
Right.
It just means that this is a person that their profession is to allow a level of comfortability for you to be able to express yourself in communication.
Yep.
They offer you a platform to be able to expose the things that you have that may be depressing you or causing anxiety in a method of communication. And as a people, we don't see that until we experience it. And then once you experience it, then it's like, oh, it's not that bad. It was actually beneficial, and you want to do it again.
Yep.
So our people in itself have a negative stigmatism for therapy, and I don't know why. Because communication is the key to anything. Communication is the key to success. You cannot succeed until you can communicate. I don't care if it's a relationship, a business relationship, a partnership. You have to be able to communicate. If not, you're not going to be able to reach a goal. So it's communication.
Communication, yes. I 100% agree. How have you kind of like touched on it already, but I was going to ask, like, how has, or if there has been like any barriers when it comes to communication, because you named like the different relationships and how communication plays good, effective communication plays a big part of that. How has there been any barriers when it comes to, communicating with your business partners or just in relationships, friendships?
Or even with the families of
yes.
For me, no.
Okay.
And the only reason I say no is, how can I say this? Experience is what gives you the characteristics you need to be a good partner, should I say. A licensed therapist can go to school forever. They can have all of the top-notch degrees. They can graduate valedictorian of their class or whatever the case may be. However, that doesn't make them more qualified than me for the situation. And I lead by experience. I don't lead by book knowledge. Do I have book knowledge? Yes, because I have a degree. But more so my skills come from from experience. So I communicate through experience. So even with my partnership, my communication with my partners, I'm not afraid to discuss anything. I don't have a filter. And sometimes it rubs people the wrong way. Sometimes people can experience it. And I always say this, I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
Okay.
I'm not. But I am somebody's shot of Hennessy.
Hello.
You know what I mean? And for those that understand that there's no in-between with him.
Okay.
It's either hot,
gray
cold.
area.
There's no gray area with
Okay.
him. He's either going to go all the way or he's not going to do it at all. I'm not giving you halfway.
Okay.
I can't do halfway. Because I'm never going to start something and not finish it. So when it comes to communicating with my partners, we're very open with one another.
Okay.
And we accept the suggestions and sometimes it's corrective criticism, sometimes it's suggestions. You gotta be willing to accept that if you're in a partnership with somebody. I don't do well with dictatorship. When somebody just tells me what to do, I'm very rebellious against that.
Okay.
And I don't know why, it's just naturally. However, I can follow directions. If somebody gives me directions and they're leading me from experience, then I'm going to follow suit from a person that has done the things that I'm trying to do. A person that hasn't done the things that I'm trying to do, they can't give me any advice because you have no experience.
Like how?
So I don't have a problem with that. Even whenever it comes down to communicating with the parents, sometimes they can be a little disgruntled and rambunctious when they don't understand things. You just gotta meet people. You gotta learn how to meet people at their level. You can't talk from here down to people, and you can't talk to. You want to talk to people and not at them. So I can kind of rationalize a situation and meet people where they are, and we kind of meet and common grounds. And sometimes it doesn't work that way, but you got to be mature enough to just agree to disagree and let bygones be bygones without any negativity.
Yes.
And that's okay sometimes to just say, okay, well, we can't reach an agreement, and that's okay. You know, maybe we can talk about this some other time whenever we're willing to, you know, if the line of communication can be better, or we can come up with a better suggestion. But right now we can't, and that's fine. You know what I mean? And we don't have to walk away on bad terms either. So I think that my line of communication as well.
It's good. I feel like KP and I, we always talk about just like how great our partnership is, but on a previous episode, you know, one of the things that I feel like that we feel like makes our partnership successful is that we respect one another. How do you feel about that? Like in business partnership, do you feel like respect is like number one or one of the top things that you can have when you're in a business partnership?
Well, respect is the number one thing that you should just possess
right?
in life.
Yeah, period.
Just period.
Yes.
I believe in people. When you're partners with somebody, everybody has to work to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people are better with money. Some people are better with organization. Some people are better with other skills. You have to put the pieces in the right order so that everybody can work to the best of their ability. And I'm the type of person, I don't have to be the front runner all the time. If somebody has more knowledge than I do in a situation and we're all involved, then guess what? You're the leader of the pack.
Yeah.
Now, it's up to you to tell me where you need me so I can work to my best potential because this is your craft. This is your field. This is where you're more experienced. So I don't have a problem with taking the sidestep to somebody that's more experienced. However, now if we are all in the same situation and nobody has more experience than the other person, then I'm the one that wants to take the lead. Why? Because if something doesn't go right, I want to know that it didn't go right because it was on me, not because I left it up to somebody else to decide that for me.
Got it.
Cool. So taking it back to the program, how do you and your partners, how do y'all measure the success of the program? Or what's like most rewarding? I guess that's a two-part question. What's the rewarding part, and how do y'all know that the program is being successful?
It's still fairly new. However, there are tests that we give them once a month or sometimes twice a month, so we can see the difference in the use. Not only do we use these tests, but we also have surveys. We have a monthly satisfaction survey where they fill it out and they tell us the things that they like, that they dislike, the changes that we can make to make the program more beneficial to them. However, what I use the most is visual. I see it. I'm on the playing field with these kids on a daily basis. I'm inside the schools with them. I'm sitting with them. I'm looking at their grades. So I get to see it firsthand. I don't have to guess anything. So I get to see the difference in the kid that walked into my building that always smelled like smoke, who's always using profanity, to somebody that can come in and answer a question with yes, no, I don't know, or that be the answer, or even catch themselves sometimes whenever they do cuss. Oh, my bad, Mr. Geno, I said a cuss word. That just lets me know that it's working.
Yes.
I'm making progress.
Yes.
I don't have like a super dynamic where I can say it's fairly new. We're just like 2 years old now.
Okay.
So I have had the pleasure of having one of my kids graduate from
Good.
school.
Yeah.
And now he is successfully employed. He
Good.
works. And now we're working on the next step. Okay, you graduated from high school. You are employed. You're not out here getting in any trouble. What's the next step? What are you interested in? Let's work towards your best skill to find out where we can place you or what we need to enhance so that we can magnify the skill that you have, turn it into a profit so that we can push you to the next level in life.
Love it.
Do y'all follow them throughout, or do they kind of like max out like at a certain age?
In the beginning, we thought that it might be a situation where they kind of max out or they turn into adults because it's a difference between adolescents and the adults.
Right.
The requirements are
Is it
different.
a certain age range?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Up until it's the same anywhere. Up until 18, when you're 18, you're considered an adult. However, at 18, these kids are still in school. They're still high school students. So instead of telling them that you're going to transition out of the program is for adolescents and adults.
Got it.
Okay.
So we do have a sector of the program that's considered young adults.
Okay.
I wouldn't place them in a class or a category with the other adults because they're still in school and they're still fragile. They still can be molded and pushed in a certain direction. So that particular part is where we focus more on like job readiness and getting them ready for interviews and building resumes and just finding out what's next. What are you interested in? So when you do graduate, we don't have to guess. Because a lot of them do coming in, when I ask them what they want to do, they say, I don't know. I don't know, Mr. Geno. So then I start asking, what do you like to do? Tell me some things about yourself. What do you like? Because once I can identify that skill, if I can teach you to be good at what you like to do, it'll never feel like a job once you turn it into a profit. And you'll do it consistently and you'll want to get better at it.
Okay, so hypothetically speaking, because we're at the Beauty Hub, and say you have someone in your program, maybe it's a girl, and you ask her, like, what do you want to do? And she's like, I really want to do hair. Do you have things in place where you can say, oh, well, I have the perfect place that you can go and you can be mentored, and like say like the Beauty Hub steps in to like help mentor her to see if so she can see how it is and if that's something that she really want to do. Like, is that something that your program offers too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Initially, we used to do it once a month. I used to have a guest speaker come in.
Okay.
So I have speakers come in and speak to the kids, entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, not just successful entrepreneurs, but some of them have happened to have gone through things in life as well. So they get a chance to speak to them in the realm of some of the things that they might be interested in. So I do have a pool, like I have you guys. I have guys that cut hair. I do have people in different fields that I can use as resources whenever a kid says, hey, Mr. Geno, I want to drive a truck. Okay, cool. I can send you to this person. They can make sure you get into school. Or I want to do hair. I want to do nails. I want to do lashes. I'm a popular person anyway. I know a lot of people. So reaching out and tapping into my resources is not an issue.
Yeah.
What it is now is because it's a new program now, it's just kind of like formulating everything and put in document and having the blueprint documented so I can pick it up and move it wherever I choose to go.
Got it.
So
how do you incorporate mentoring into the program?
The first half of the program is substance use. So they are educated about how substances affect their community, their decision-making skills, their environment as a whole. The second half is a life skill. So the life skill can range from hygiene to financial management. Wow. This is where you get the necessary skills that's going to take you to the next level. So you learn about substance use, and then
they're not learning in school.
You get a life skill after that.
Yeah,
and I'm big on that part. That's kind of
especially the financial part.
They need to know because they don't know. And I really feel like if I had known some of the things that I know now, whenever I was their age, I'd have been a millionaire 10 times over by now because I'm good. I feel like I'm good with money.
Right.
I am. I've been through a few situations where I've had to start over from zero, but I use the same plan. Yeah. Every time, and I teach my kids this plan now, and now they know. I don't.
Do you want
I
to share
can't
it?
make them. What you mean, my plan?
You want to share the plan on the pod?
I mean, you just have to. No, it's not going.
May cost you a little.
It's
may
actually
cost you a
simple.
lot.
You know, it's not. It's actually simple. And what people sometimes people get social media has the world in a frenzy. You know what I mean? Like people are trying to keep up with other people's standards, or they're trying to keep up with the visual that they see. And a lot of times these people are not
real.
really in the position that they depict
Yes.
to be in. You know what I mean? So I teach my kids you have to focus on you. Okay. And what you need to do is, in order to gain stability, is first you have to develop a source of income. Okay. And when you develop your source of income, you have to know, you can't guess. You have to have an expense sheet. You have to know what your expenses are to live. Not for funning, not for games, but just to live. What does it cost? So when you find out what it is that you need to live, now you know where you need to work. Because this is the money that I need to make to get here. However, if you're not there, it may require education. So now if you're still in school, I need to get this level of education in order to get here so I can afford this lifestyle. But what nobody taught us at an early age was how to save. So my philosophy is this, and it's a little rough around the edges, but this is just how it works for me. Because I've never had anything come easy for me, ever. I always had to scrape my knuckles across the ground to get where I needed to get, but I always had that don't quit mentality. No, I never take no for an answer, because no always comes with a condition. And whenever you tell me no, I want to know why you told me no. Whatever that condition is, I'm going to come back, but I'm not coming back until I make sure that I meet this qualification. Therefore, you can't tell me no. And if you are telling me no just because you choose to tell me no, then I need to speak to the next best person, because I'm not taking no for an answer. So with that being said, you have to work. You have to save your money. And what we generally call it in our culture is everybody wants a bag. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But once you obtain the bag, 9 times out of 10, the first thing people want to do is reach in there and start spending. When you get the bag is it. The bag always has to remain. You should never go in this bag to pay for anything. The mentality should always be, I saved $10,000, all right? If I want a $2,000 pair of shoes, I have to go into this bag and make sure that I can make my $10,000, make my $10,000 back and the $2,000 so that I can buy these shoes. Not go into my $10,000 to pay for the shoes because now I got $8,000. That's the wrong mentality. But that's the way that we've been taught, or that's what we see.
That's what we see, yeah.
You have to have the discipline to be able to fall back sometimes. And falling back is what allows you to build your bag. You know, you go to work, you eliminate your unnecessary expenses. So now you can cover everything and you can see what you have left. If you don't have enough left, now it's up to you to determine whether I have to pick up another job, whether I have to work more hours, but the goal is to gain more. However, now when you're saving, if you're saving frivolously for no reason, then that money is a liability. Because you're going to find something or a reason to spend it.
Okay.
But if you're saving it, and you know what your end goal is, then you know why you're saving it. And when you hit your mark, you know what you're going to do with it. So you have to save. And we weren't taught that.
No.
And you have to save with a purpose. And
that part. I was taught to save. But not saving with a purpose.
You gotta save
it was
with a
just
purpose.
like, you need to save. You need this, but never with a purpose. So that's good. That was real good, Mr. Geno.
And then you just wash, rinse, and repeat the cycle.
Yes.
So if I work in, I actually learned this method from, it's a book called The Richest Man in Babylon.
I was just getting ready to ask you, how did you learn this method? Okay. Go ahead, talk about it.
I've experienced some things in life that caused me to sit down for a while.
Okay.
And when I sat down, I just gravitated to reading. And I started to read everything that wasn't nailed down. So in the beginning, I was reading all these hood novels. That was the thing to do. That was entertainment. However, somebody put a book in my hand one time, and it was called, for the very first time, it was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was the very first read that I ever read of pertaining to financial literacy. I was stuck. And I was like, you know what? I've been in this position 10 times over. I've had bags of money in places and nothing to spend it on. And I'm not going to say that I didn't have anything to spend it on, but I was so caught up in what I was doing that my focus wasn't recycling the money. I was making so much of it that I was just having a good time. I wasn't even really considering my future at the time. But once I read that book, I understood. I was like, damn, you've been in this position before. So now this is the method you're going to use. Once I got home, I wrote everything down while I was in there. I had a plan. I wanted to invest in real estate. I watched Flip or Flop every day while I was in there. I wanted to start a trucking company. I wrote it down. I had someone send me some books. I learned a little bit through the books. I wrote a whole plan down, and then when I got out, I had enough knowledge based off of the things that I had read while I was in there, and I put my plan straight into play. And I did. My grandmother let me stay in the house with her. I worked for a supply company. I carried drywall up the steps for $11 an hour with some steel-toe boots on.
Wow.
I ain't never been a stranger to work. Never. I don't care what it was. I always kept a job because I understood the mechanics of how to live. I never lived beyond my means. And even whenever I was in the street, I did whatever I was doing and I was successful, but I was a teacher. So the house, the things that I had was based upon my teaching salary.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? I never lived beyond my means. And I was still able to pay my bills and still save money. But because I was so successful on the other side, it kind of took my life to a different level. And I was able to afford and have some things that was outside of the norm of a school teacher. But, you know, with anything, those things come with a consequence. And when it happens, they take everything from you. And you have to start over. However, this go around, I was a little bit more refined. I had the knowledge and the base of how to save my money, where to save it, and, you know, a plan of how to start small and grow larger. And I did. I saved my first $14,000. I met a guy in prison, and he was telling me, yeah, I got these friends. They can do this for you. They can do that. But I'm the type of person that anybody can be, when you locked up, people can tell you they Pablo Escobar, and you're just supposed to believe them. However, he told me he had the friends. He was actually the person with these means. So I saved my money, and I went to him, and I said, hey, look, I got enough money. I want to do a real estate project. And I was like, I need you to put me in touch with the friends that you need to put me in touch with. I got my money saved up. And he was like, you don't have to go anywhere.
Because I'm
He was like, I'm him. I'm the source that you need. And I did. It cost me $16,000 total. I put $16,000 down on my first project, and he loaned me the money to flip my first house. And I never looked back after that. I did one house. I turned around. I did two after that. And then I did four right at the same time, right back to back.
Wow.
And that was it.
Nice.
Success story.
Yes, it is.
So inspiring.
It is. So what's next?
Yeah.
What's next?
Expansion.
I believe in helping people. And I don't like to sound arrogant or cocky, but I know I have the means of getting it done. I can do it. I will do it. People struggle often with not knowing or not having a direction of where they should go, and they get stuck living life every day. It's like Groundhog Day for them. Once I finish refining this blueprint of what we're doing, I want to be able to pick it up and take it wherever I want to go. If I want a house in Atlanta, all right, cool. We're going to drop an office down here in Atlanta. We're going to start the program down here, and it'll afford my whole lifestyle wherever it is I go. But not just being able to pick it up and drop it off somewhere else, but now I can employ the people that I know would be beneficial to me in this particular field, because it's not for everybody.
Right.
You have to have patience, because these kids are rough around the edges. They cuss sometimes. They're rebellious, and the rebellion doesn't come just because they don't want to do it or they don't like you, but that's actually them telling you, I need help. I need more. So that's where it comes from.
So if there's, a mom, dad, whoever that's watching this right now and they want to put their child in your program, or how can they do that? How can they get more information? Where can they find you?
They can find us. We have an Instagram page. I think it's AIA Health _MD. Or they can find us at www.aiahealth.org. We're also located on 638 North Gilmore Street. Feel free to stop in at any given time. And it's not always just about substance use, because that's our R.I.S.E program. We also have a mental health agency that provides PRP and therapy. So there's a lot of different dynamics. It's not just about this. But if you do have kids that you feel like are under the age of 18, they're giving you an issue, they're smoking a lot of marijuana and not kind of complying to the rules and what you think is necessary for them to become successfully independent, give us a call. Come see us. Trust me with your children. I guarantee you, if I can't fix it, I can at least start.
Yes. Any last minute advice for, say, if it's a young black man out there that's watching this right now that is inspired by your story? Do you have any advice for him?
Anything's possible. Anything. It's just a matter of how bad you want something. To what extent are you willing to go to reach your optimum? You know what I mean? And I use this as an analogy all the time whenever I'm in the office with these kids. If y'all want to smoke the best weed, you know how to find it. Why don't you apply the same go-get, that same emphasis, that same effort? You have to apply that to your goals.
Yes.
You have to seek. You have to follow through. And if you run into a niche within your process, you got to iron it out. You just got to start over, and you got to go back and figure out, what do I need to do so that I can get to the next step? Once you learn how to get from A to Z, you just wash, rinse, and repeat, and you recycle it. And it grows. Same thing with money. Once you learn a system where I can work this many hours, I make this much money, my bills is this, I can save this, you let it grow. Now you invest your savings while you continue to stay at your craft. And once that comes back, you pay yourself a percentage, but you put all of the rest back. So now your initial goes up. So if you reinvest your initial at a higher rate, your return is going to be what? It's going to be higher than it was when it came back. So you use that formality throughout life. When I want shoes or I want jewelry, because I like jewelry, I do. I like nice things. I want to drive nice cars. I'm not going to use the job to pay for it. I have to save the money, but the money has to work in favor where I can flip the money over, get the things that I want, and put the money back in the rotation.
Yes.
That's good advice.
The rich live off of 20% of their total income. I'm learning that.
And that's why they keep getting richer.
80% of their income is going back in the rotation.
Yep.
What I'm doing now is developing a strategy where I can live off of 20% of my income.
Yes.
However, I have to determine how much is 20% to me. So that's going to determine my 100%. Okay, so if this is my 20, then that means I got to make this.
Yes.
That's why I'm going back to school. You know what I mean? And I'm a successful serial entrepreneur. I'm a real estate developer. I can flip a house inside out.
Yeah.
But now I want to move into development. I want to develop from the ground up. You know what that takes? More money.
Yes.
So, it's just I'm just ironing out a few things right now. And, going into 2025 is a year for me to be able to kind of get my life back on track, because I experienced some things that kind of took me for a ride. So now that I have some stability, now I can create a process that I can recycle. And, maybe 2026 things will be a little bit different, but
it will
we're
be.
on the sunny side up right now.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I ain't complaining about nothing.
Good.
My kids good. I'm good. My partners are good.
Good.
What's up?
Thanks for coming to kick it with us.
Yes, thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
That was good.
Yes.
Anything else you want to share before we leave?
No, not really. Just bring your kids in. Bring them in. And I mean that. I mean, we are expanding. We're opening more doors.
So are you only in Baltimore City right now?
Right now, we're in Baltimore City. We are working diligently to refine the blueprint.
Okay.
You can't move in turmoil.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we're still learning. We're still critiquing the craft. We're still perfecting things. I don't want to be in more than one place at the same time and be in chaos.
Absolutely.
It has to be controlled.
Order.
So
Needs
once
to be
I
in
can
order.
nail it down and I can say, you know what, this works,
Yep.
then I can pick it up and drop it off anywhere. Baltimore County,
Yep.
Howard County, Carroll County, because that's what's coming. You know, these are surrounding counties. And then we can consider venturing off out of state. But
Yes.
it's just a matter of refining the blueprint. We're still a relatively new substance use program. So we just need a little bit more time.
Okay.
All right. Well, you got the blueprint.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. That was good.
That was good.
That was good. But thank you for
Yes.
coming to kick it with us.
Appreciate y'all.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
See you next time. Bye.